Woo-hoo-hoo, it's a little chilly outside. What day is it? Is it day 60? That feels significant. What are we talking about? I mean, we're talking about tension out. Oh, I want to talk about the election. That seems safe. This is a terrible idea. I'll see the train a-coming. It's rolling round the bend. Hi, and thanks for tuning in. This is the Learn with John Eick podcast, and it is day 60 on my 180-day drive to school. Again, not to be a numerologist, but that seems significant. Is that like a third of the way, right? It's a trip, man. I'm going to try a different affect today and be like super chill today. I watched a podcast of somebody I super respect, and I realized, like, you know, he doesn't talk like I talk. Everybody talks different. I'm like, oh my gosh, and then this, and then that. And he was like, hey, I'm saying this thing, and he's super smart and funny, and I was like, I love this guy. He's my uncle. Hey, what are we talking about? Today's day 60. Yesterday, day 59, yesterday was election day. And I thought as I got in my car today, I'm like, yeah, I'll talk about the election. I'm sure that's a safe that's a safe subject. I'm sure it'll go fine. What could go wrong? Talking about the election in America in 2022. I'm sure we'll find lots of common ground, and we'll just all, you know, get through this next 7 minutes of driving. You know, the reason I want to talk about elections is because I'm in this 30-day riff on, like, you know, what makes school culture, organizational culture, a place where you want to work and live. And I think, first of all, bless you, whoever runs for these elected offices. Like, for you know, unless they're for, like, you know, unless you're doing it for the wrong reasons, but like it looks like a really hard job. I don't think I would want that job, and just the application process to get that job looks awful. So, you know, a few colleagues of mine, people that I know, you know, run for school board and, you know, sit on city council here in Sacramento, and I watch them, you know, go through this job application process of managing an election, and I just go, oh my gosh, like, I got my job, I filled out my resume, I went to an interview or 3, I wore a tie, that was it. But it was, if you have to put yourself on public forums and people talking about you and sending out mailers with bad pictures of you, you know, and being like, hey, your person's a scumbag. You're like, oh my gosh, why would you say that about me? I'm just applying for this job. Gosh, it is rough, man. So, hey, good on you out there. If you, for the right reasons, want to help lead, whether it's an organization or, you know, a large organization like a city or a state or our country, good on you if for the right reasons that's you. Because, man, what a rough gig that must be. I bring it up, though, because, like, I work at a school. I've worked at a school in the school business for like 25 years. I've actually been in the same zip code. I used to work for the traditional public school district for a long time. Became a, you know, high school principal. I was a teacher for a long time. That was a great gig. Never should have stopped doing that gig. Now I run a charter school organization, so we're authorized by the same district that I kind of grew up in as an educator. But I got my own board, and so we kind of operate as a small school district of our own. You know, I'm the superintendent of my little organization, but I'm plugged into the whole shop. The point is, at election night, I watched board elections take place. You know, I'm watching, like, who's running for school board, and you think, oh yeah, who wants that gig, right? But in reality, when we talk about, like, organizational culture that makes you want to work at the place you work, I think those elected people have more impact than they know or that we typically give them credit for. I mean, honestly, I'm gonna be honest, like, I spent a lot of my career when I was in the classroom, you know, the first decade, just being like, who cares what the board thinks? Like, that really has nothing to do with me. Like, whatever they're mucking about up there, well, good luck with your muck. I'm, like, just doing my thing here in the classroom. I felt so separated from the board. But you know what I recognized over the years is that, like, there is a tone. There is an ethos. That's the word. There's an ethos, right? There's this general sense of climate and culture. You can feel it in the way people talk about work, in the way people talk about kids, in the way people talk about each other, in the way people interact with, you know, talking about the clients, the customers, the kids, the parents, the people, the way we talk about personnel, the way we, you know, utilize personnel, the way we include or don't include personnel on where they're going to work. You know, there's some of these big districts where they're like, you know, transfer reassignment. It's like, oh, you work in classroom A at school A? Yeah. We just move you. You're in you're in school W all the way across town. You're like, oh, but I don't live across town. I live close to my school. My kid goes to my school. Sorry, that's the way it goes. We just moved you because you're just an asset to the organization. You know, there's an ethos that you know, I hate to say it, but it kind of starts at the top. Like, if it's adversarial at the top, nothing goes right at the bottom, you know, because it creates this us versus them situation. And I'm not bad mouthing. I mean, I'm lucky. I work in a good region, man. People get along pretty well, you know, in my neck of the woods. But, you know, I've seen it out there on the national stage and the local stage in different regions. You know, I've seen it go sideways. I've seen, you know, maybe I would say the wrong person. I've seen a person with, you know, with a kind of a negative affect or a confrontational ethos come into an organization at that level and just spread, you know, their, you know, the way they communicate, and I've seen it seep through, you know, staff and community, and you go, man, the way people talk at the top, the general disposition of leadership really has a greater effect on culture and climate than we want to give it credit for. Because me personally, I'm like a boots on the ground, in the trenches, kind of like, hey man, it all starts from right here. It's you know, starts in the classroom, and the way we collaborate as teachers, the way teachers collaborate with instructional aides and families, and the way that we collaborate with our kids, and the way we collaborate with our admin at the site level. But I think that's, although that's all true, it's also naive to say you can do it all from the bottom up or the inside out. Man, there's something about, like, the people who sit on the diocese, those elected officials, or this, you know, those upper management positions, like, if their affect is one of positivity, collaboration, consideration, kindness, you know, if that's the general default, you'll see more of that in the culture of the schools. I say this all the time. I'm gonna say it out loud. I'm not sure if it applies to this context, but I'm driving to school with no script, so like I'm just riffing. I say all the time, like, I rarely go to a school that's just killing it, where everybody's happy and, you know, students are productive and parents are plugged in. I go, yeah, man, this school is awesome, but, you know, the admin really sucks. Like, you just don't get that. You don't get people saying, gosh, this school is killing it in all the ways. We have this really positive culture, ethos, but we just hate our leadership. It just isn't how it works. Like, you go to a school that's, you know, high functioning, and you give a bad leader, and they go, hey, we're still really awesome. Our leader's holding us back a little. But you can feel it. You can feel it when you have the right leaders in place. Everybody else, I think, does better. So, like, if you have great teachers, like I have great teachers, great instruction, like I got great parents involved in my organization, like those people are better at what they do if leadership that's in place is also good at what they do, right? I think people struggle under bad leadership, and so I talk about the elections, and I go, man, that election matters, because the person who sits up on that diocese, that person who goes to that board meeting, the way they speak, the way they project, the way they help create the ethos of the organization, that makes a big difference on the people within the organization. The way we all perceive our jobs, the way we perceive our community, the way we perceive the mission of the organization, that matters more than I think we give it credit for. So how do you make an organization that doesn't suck, that you want to work at, that people want to be a part of, that people don't want to leave mid-year? I mean, there's 1,000, it's death by paper cuts. There's 1,000 little reasons why we would say, oh yeah, the organizational culture here is on point, and it got there because of X, Y, and Z. There's 1,000 X, Y, and Z's, but one of them, I think, has to include leadership, and that's like all the way at the top. I mean, that's all the way up to like the elections. How do you, I mean, again, that job application process to be a board member is pretty rough. How do you screen for that? You got to make sure that you're electing, competent officials who can, oversee the fiduciary, regulation of a multi-million-dollar budget, hundreds of millions of dollars, annually. Someone's got to have policy understanding and, that type of intelligence. But I think you also have to screen for that ethos. Like, how do we talk about people? You know, because it's a people business, a people on people business. You can be a policy, and curriculum expert, but you got to be a people. You got to be, you got to read the room. You got to understand the room. You got to understand who's in the room, and you got to have a heart for service. I think to be a really good leader and create that ethos within an organization. All right, I thought I was sounds like we're talking about the election. What could go wrong? All right, I'm driving up to my school right now. I'm gonna have a killer day. I got coffee talk. I got a big announcement that I'm gonna make today. I'm super excited about. I got a board meeting tomorrow. Guys, lots of good stuff going on, man. On day 60 of the Learn with John podcast. This is crazy. All right, hey, thanks for listening. My name is John Eick. You can find me on the Twitters at John_Eick. You can find me out there. Hey, drop me a little comment, man. Tell me what you're thinking. I'm excited about this day. It's a beautiful blue skies day, and yesterday was rainy day recess, so I think we're to crush it. All right, thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time.